I came across a cryptic dread bongo post on X, which is actually how a lot of people found Bittensor in July of 2022 that year. And there wasn't anything really on Twitter about it. So I had to dig a lot deeper into Google. That led me to the white paper, and it seemed there was something special with this project, and he kind of greenlit it. So after that, he did that, we went kind of full on into Bittensor. And then we have Doug's picks, which are his favorite subnets in the ecosystem. And hopefully we, over the next couple years, would like to build on top of things like Doug's picks for a creator economy in Bittensor. So if you're listening to this and you'd like to build your own custom index, definitely shoot us an email. That's something that we would like to dive into more over the next couple months.
So we only support honest participants in the network. Some people may complain about the few point difference in APY that may have a difference there, but the difference is quite negligible the way that we're managing it. But yeah, that's just kind of our moral decision here. We've been in Bittensor since the beginning. We want to be here for 10 more years if possible, so we're making a pledge to really support the validators that are actually making a difference here.
Welcome to the Ventura Labs podcast. Today, we're joined by Douglas and Alex, co-founders of TrustedStake, a Bittensor staking platform. They share their journey from Bitcoin mining to launching a crypto fund and discovering Bittensor in 2022. We'll explore the network's evolution to dynamic TAO, TrustedStake's proxy palette for non-custodial diversified staking via indexes, and their hourly rebalancer for yield optimization. Now, back to Alex and Douglas with the 58th Ventura Labs podcast.
All right, Douglas, Alex of TrustedStake. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good,
Doing
man.
good.
I'm doing good. It's good to get you guys here. Let's start with, how do you guys know each other? What is y'all's background and how you guys met and the history you have together?
Yeah, so Doug and I go way back, to be completely honest. I think I met Doug in 8th grade, so around 13, 14 years old. And he was always really into computers. He was the one out of our friend group that could pretty much fix anything, knew everything about. I think he hacked our library computers in middle school or something like that. So over the years, I was more of like a entrepreneurial focused person, and Doug and I just like to work on projects. And we had a little marketing agency at one point. We had a pressure washing company at one point, and we like to build businesses. And that kind of evolved over time into crypto. He can kind of dive into his early mining with Bitcoin and stuff with the blockchain. But we've known each other a while.
Alex, is it true? Were you hacking computers in middle school?
No comment. No comment.
And some of your early endeavors included dabbling in Bitcoin. How'd you guys get introduced to Bitcoin back in the day? And when was this?
So there was a company in Greenville where we grew up in South Carolina called Trace Blockchain, and they were probably the only crypto mining company in town. And we had some family friends that worked there, and we would just go work there on the weekends or after school during the week for free. And they kind of mentored us and taught us everything that we know currently as our foundation on blockchain and crypto, as far as liquid submersion mining with Bitcoin, ASICs. We did some maintenance on their miners. We had actually one of the guys there that managed their purchases and sales. He was kind of their chart analyst. He taught us about trading and order books and kind of how to navigate this space early on, and that's how that we kind of built our foundation to eventually launch into building a crypto fund and then eventually TrustedStake. So
Yeah, I guess with me, I like Alex mentioned, I've always been on computers forever. Like as long as I can remember, I've just been tinkering and been in science, and I built my computer in I think it was fifth grade, like going into sixth grade. Um, I built like a pretty as much as I could get at the time that I was saving up for a beefy rig, and I started mining Bitcoin with it. I think this was around like 2013. Um, and I don't know how I think it was either from like Minecraft or like CS:GO or some video game my friends and I played. Like digital currencies were needed to trade in-game items, and that was kind of like my first introduction to cryptocurrencies. Um, and just kind of like instantly fell in love with the, I guess, the lore of crypto, like Bitcoin. Reading the white paper just opened my eyes because I was always interested in like the hacky kind of like script kiddie upbringing, wanted to build viruses and break things and just be bad, I guess. And it just like money, I loved finance and I loved computers, and cryptocurrency was that like perfect intersection. And then meeting Alex, he was into it too, and Trace Blockchain was a perfect kind of that perfect experience in high school, like growing up and being around some true industry leaders was a really great experience to get hands on with it.
And after the internship of sorts at Trace Blockchain, you guys started your own crypto fund, right?
yeah, so we worked there for about 3 or 4 years, and a friend of ours kind of gave me a framework of sorts as to how I would go out on my own and create a investment fund for cryptocurrencies. So that was kind of the first step. After Trace Blockchain, it's structured as like a family and friends investment fund, so you can't do like soliciting, you can't advertise, and that's kind of how that we were able to build something without having to go through all the registration and stuff with the SEC. So it was a very friendly framework for Douglas and I to kind of get started, and we had some family members that were really interested in cryptocurrency, along with some close family friends, and they put their trust in us, helped us get started, and going into the 2021 bull market, we had kind of a basket of altcoins that some of them performed, some of them didn't, and leading into the 2022 bear market, we were kind of scraping to keep things together with the FTX credit unwind and all the different collapses that seem to be happening all around us. So uh, I was working at the time at Benzinga as a finance and crypto writer. Douglas was doing his own things in crypto to make ends meet. And that kind of segues into how that we stumbled across Bittensor. I was just kind of scrolling Twitter one day, trying to keep up with the market, keep up with what was going on, and I came across a cryptic Dread Bongo post on X, which is actually how a lot of people found Bittensor in July of 2022 that year. And there wasn't anything really on Twitter about it, so I had to dig a lot deeper into Google, and I think I found it on like a Google image of the TAO symbol, and that led me to the white paper. And Douglas always has a very good eye for things that are novel typically, and it seemed there was something special with this project, and he kind of greenlit it. So after that, he did that, we went kind of full on into Bittensor.
And Douglas, what was your first impression after reading that white paper all the way back in 2022, if you can remember that far?
Yeah. I guess initially it's like I was actually skeptical at first. Like we waited, I think, like even a month to really start getting in it. I was like traveling at the time, and I finally sat down to read the white paper fully, and then it was just like I was pissed that we didn't. Sorry, I don't know if I can say that, but I was pretty mad that we, wasted a month, and then I immediately texted Alex. I was like, "Yeah, this is it. Let's go heads down on this one." And like I think right after I read it, I went on um, the Tensor exchange or whatever it was back then, the OTC deals, and just like liquidated everything I had, put it in Bittensor. But my initial like feeling was sorry, I'm just disconnected from my phone for the camera. Um, but I'll keep going here. The like initial thought was it reminded me a lot of Bitcoin. And when I read that back in 2013 or the early days of Bitcoin, I had that almost transcendental feeling of this vision that I saw of something that was extremely valuable, something that's extremely needed. And yeah, it gave me that Bitcoin white paper vibe. Um, when I first read that back in the day, it completely opened my eyes to, problems in our systems, and, the I guess I got the full big picture of Bitcoin and why is there intrinsic value there, and what's the value of having that. It just clicked for me. And, since then I've read countless white papers, done 10,000 hours of research on many different projects, and it was very refreshing to read the Bittensor white paper. It was so it just made sense, and it was beautifully written, and it clicked for me then too. It was like an instant type of thing where I saw the value there and why it was needed. But what was more profound was the community at the time. So getting in the Discord, and that's one of our things when we're researching projects, like not only for the fun but for personal investment. Going through 2018 to 2023, 2024. Or I guess we were in Bittensor at that time. But when we're researching company projects, like big thing is the community and the developers scene, and getting it hands on with them and talking to them. And the Discord was just like a whole new world in crypto. I'm so used to joining a Discord with 60,000 bots, and they're not even human, and they're spamming ticker symbols, and just it's like brain rot, degen, DeFi stuff. And coming here to the Bittensor Discord, and the early days, it was like ML researchers and AI engineers and these deep like Bitcoin back like guys that have been in crypto forever but have real jobs and real identities, and these are real people. And that was super cool and like refreshing that you could talk to these guys that are on the bleeding edge of technologies that are so impactful to the world, especially in AI. And seeing the network grow was really cool. We were there when Finney and like back in Nakamoto, it was really like a test net, and seeing it grow and work was amazing. Like I gotta give props to Jacob and the OTF team. Like they have really been successful in their releases and pushing things out. And even in the early days, like the novelty searches, they weren't novelty searches yet. They were just AMAs, and they were still great back then. It was just a really nice ecosystem and community. And yeah, I rambled on there for a second, but it's fun to reminisce on those old days. That yeah, it gave me a nice new feeling of something very impactful to the world and valuable.
You kind of touched on it there with the evolution from 2022 to 2025. You guys were there when there wasn't even multiple subnets yet. It was just one net. So you've seen subnets happen. You've seen now dTAO happen. What do you think were the most important changes that have occurred since you joined to now, and how do you view the evolution of Bittensor through this time?
Yeah, I mean, a couple things that I don't think a lot of people remember. You probably remember this, but we've had a lot of black swans over the past few years. We've had like the early cabal. We had the guy, was it Floppy Fish Douglas, that broke the network at one point. We've kind of dealt with a lot of things over the years in the community, like everybody has. And I think what is a real testament is the resilience that everyone has had. And a couple times it kind of seemed like it was over, but OTF was able to kind of clean up everything and bounce back. And I think that's a big testament to how things have continued over the years. Because I feel like a lot of things kind of have their moment and then kind of die off over about a year, whether that's like with the hype and momentum from it. But Bittensor kind of just kept going. And I think that is something that will eventually lead it into the top 5 position in crypto. But I think that, to answer your question, I think the biggest would be the dTAO update with the how big of a change it was to the network by splintering everything into different intelligence markets for each subnet. And I would like to let Doug answer that too, but that would be my opinion on what I think is the biggest update that we've had.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, yeah, just being here since Nakamoto and watching everything grow, like you said, it's a real testament to the leadership and just the community members. And yeah, I gotta give props too for the hack that happened the other summer. Like, so, probably, I hate to say it, but like the best hack that I've been in crypto, in terms of like damage control. It was like, I thought the world was over, but they handled it so well. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, detail for sure. Finny was pretty big when the mainnet launched. Kind of had to move validator operations around there. We were operating a validator and kind of made some intelligent decisions there. But yeah, that was big. We didn't know what was going to happen in Finny. I remember we were talking about it at like a bar or something. Just like, I hope we even make it to Finny. Like, I remember we even said those words, and here we are today. Like, dTAO, like, and it works. Not a single failure on that launch too, which was really cool. But yeah, I think dTAO is probably just one of the biggest network changes of any project, really. That was huge.
And to continue the evolution of y'all's journey, you guys are now working on and co-founded TrustedStake. So if you could just give an introduction to what is TrustedStake and what do you guys do?
Yeah, so the idea with TrustedStake came out with the original proposal of dTAO, which, Doug, correct me if I'm wrong, was in February of 2024. And we immediately thought, hey, with the inevitable growth of the network over the next few years, we're now at 128 subnets. This is going to become something that is going to be too much for the average retail user or average TAO investor that wants to get exposure to these things but doesn't know where to start. So from there, we went in and started trying to figure out how that we could build something that would solve this problem and kind of break the blockade so more people could get invested and stake in these subnets. And that's how we stumbled across the Proxy palette. And Doug can kind of explain more of the technicalities with that, but the Proxy palette was originally on Polkadot, and it allows us to basically stake on behalf of TAO holders without having custody of their wallet. Like, we are able to have to diversify into subnets and to optimize their yield across validators without having the risk of someone hacking our wallet and their TAO being stolen or something like that. So it really kind of allows us to be flexible, and that's where that we started from building TrustedStake. Doug, if you want to kind of add anything.
Yeah, it came with the paper. I guess just a little more backstory there. I was mining at the time very heavily, basically full time, and that was like a full time job, 24/7. Mining in Bittensor is like the hardest thing you can do. Running a subnet probably is, but mining, it's like, well, for me at least at that time, was 24/7. So I could only imagine what the normal investor, like, it just doesn't make sense for them to have to keep up with potentially hundreds of subnets and then invest in them because they each have their own liquidity pool with their own tokens. It's just huge headache. So that we saw that with the Proxy pod as being our kind of green light to really turn this into a service.
And the Proxy palette, you guys use specifically the staking Proxy wallet, which allows you guys to have staking permissions over other wallets. And this is why the funds can't be stolen from you guys. They can only be allocated somewhere else in terms of they stake to a different subnet. What are some of the features you guys have as TrustedStake of what you are able to do investment-wise?
Sure. Doug, I'll kind of hop into the indexes, and then if you want, you could explain the rebalancer.
Yeah.
So currently, as of today, we have 6 indexes launched. This is a direct use of the staking proxy permissions, and a user comes into our platform and they can stake to the top 10 subnets. They can stake into the Rayon Labs company portfolio that they have of 1956 and 64. We have the TrustedStake Blue Chip Subnet Index, which is basically the culmination of what we believe are fundamentally the strongest subnets in Bittensor. And then we have Doug's picks, which are his favorite subnets in the ecosystem. And hopefully we, over the next couple years, would like to build on top of things like Doug's picks for a creator economy in Bittensor. So if you're listening to this and you'd like to build your own custom index, definitely shoot us an email. That's something that we would like to dive into more over the next couple months. But yeah, when the user delegates their staking permissions, within the hour, they are then allocated into all of the constituents within that index based off of the market cap, which is how that we weight everything. And then every hour or so, the staking allocations, whether that's in the subnets or the validators within those subnets, is then re-optimized for yield. So that kind of gets into the rebalancer that I'll let Doug explain. But
Yeah. Cool. So just a little more context on the Proxy palette. That's what we use. That's our main technology there. And camera turned off again. But we use the Proxy palette, and it's tried and true, been battle tested for years. It's like the palette. If you don't know what a palette is, it's just basically the substrate chains version of a smart contract. Um, and there's lots of different types of proxy relationships you can have, and we specifically only use the staking type, which we only explicitly have. We can operate only within staking operations, so like unstake, add stake, move stake. We can't custody your assets, so we don't hold your TAO. We can't transfer it. So that's like a really cool technology that we can take advantage of. And for the proxy rebalancing itself, it looks like when a user comes to our platform, all you do is connect to your wallet, and then you can, take a look at our different strategies we offer. And these are kind of like baskets of assets for now. And pick the one that you would like to delegate to, and you click the delegate button, sign the transaction. It'll start your proxy relationship with our platform. And like Alex said, within the hour, you'll be balanced out in accordance to that strategy that you've chosen. And yeah, a little bit about the rebalancer. We've changed a few things over since our first public launch. We've kind of been taking in data feedback, implementing some of those requested feature changes, and just some of the optimizations we've made. We are pretty confident that it's, almost as optimal as you can get it in terms of like fee reduction and how we're processing and batching transactions. Yeah, again, it happens like every hour or so, depending on when you join. And so we can get kind of quick volatile movements or like different swings that happen. You'll be balanced into those as well optimally. And, you're not going to be, that kind of gets into the intelligence of it and how, there's certain thresholds that need to be met and different criteria for you to actually be rebalanced. So it's not like it's, happening all the time. Yeah, we've made it pretty smart, and, we're always improving it, but this second go round has been pretty cool to see, going from like a weekly or a daily rebalance and not being so effective. We took what we were seeing and made it a lot better, and that's really cool. So yeah, the fees have been reduced a lot. And some of the way we're handling the rebalancing itself should kind of translate into your APY. So we should kind of see boost in APY as much as we possibly can kind of squeeze out of it. And so that's really cool. And like I said, we're always looking to make it better, and we have tons of really cool features that are on the way that I'm currently building and working on. And yeah, I don't want to spoil too much, but we've got some really cool things in the works, and I'm actually going to pass it back to Alex to talk about kind of some of our investment thesis and our like methodology, or I don't know if you want to get in that. I'll just stop there.
No, that was great, Doug. And also, as a kind of a little bit more context to our platform, when you land on the app's main delegation page, it kind of outlines the platform, and then you'll see that there's kind of some self-service options as well. And Douglas and I decided that it would be a good idea to allow people to also be able to make batch allocations themselves. So similar to what TAO stats have, you can make a batch transaction and buy a basket of 10 subnets yourself if you wanted to on the TrustedStake platform. You can make a simple swap into Bittensor subnets if you wanted to, and then you can also, if you're already allocated in a subnet but want to move from, say, Roundtable to TAO.com or vice versa, you can move stake between validators on our app as well. So yeah, our investment thesis right now is there's kind of a lot of different things that we're trying to provide people. As of right now, we provide some company-specific indexes. We provide some of our what we think are the fundamental blue chip plays within Bittensor that we've tried to do as much DD on as possible. We believe have a clear path to revenue, have a large total addressable market, and have also kind of matured. I think it's an important thing that, yes, there are some really, really strong subnets like Affine, for example. I think that that's a fantastic subnet, but over time, as that root proportion kind of falls off and the root selling is reduced, it's kind of important to remember where these subnets sit on that root prop curve as far as liquidity goes, and you don't want to try and scale into some of these brand new subnets at the moment. And I think even OTF has tried to warn the community of that. So the ones that we've included in the blue chip indexes, we take that into account, like liquidity, root proportion as well, and the maturity of the subnet. And also we are looking to do sector specific indexes like DSI, trading yield, sports predictions, inference, AI, compute, etc. And then near the end of launching all these indexes, what our most ambitious one will be is the Bittensor Universe Index, which we're looking to have be our broad-based subnet index, which will sort of operate as like an S&P 500 style index of all of the subnets within Bittensor, market cap weighted, of course, but we would make it a way for users to get exposure to all of the active subnets within Bittensor, obviously excluding the unknown subnets that are undergoing a cold key swap, etc. Obviously, this will be the most strenuous on our infrastructure, so we'll probably have 15 or 20 indexes rolled out by the time that we do the Bittensor universe, just because there's so many transactions that'll be occurring for this to work optimally and function correctly. But yeah, our main focus is to provide as many options for TAO investors as possible, and to provide as much insights into their portfolio. So this is something that Doug can probably touch on, but that'll come with this next update to our platform, is some deeper portfolio insights into the index that they're using, their alpha value, the constituents in their alpha portfolio, among some other things. But yeah, Doug, do you kind of want to touch on anything with this upcoming update, or?
Yeah, sure. So I guess adding on to that, we also have like a moral pledge, I guess, to only delegate to non-weight copying validators. So we only support honest participants in the network. Some people may complain about the few point difference in APY that may, you know, may have a difference there, but the difference is quite negligible, the way that we're managing it. But yeah, that's just kind of our moral decision here. We've been in Bittensor since the beginning. We want to be here for 10 more years if possible. So we're making a pledge to really support the validators that are actually making a difference here. And and the companies inside of Bittensor we're trying to support as well. And that goes into our main mission statement and the vision and why we even created TrustedStake. And that's, we're really trying to onboard the next $1 billion of, investment into Bittensor. We want to lower the barrier of entry into Bittensor, but not even, focusing on Bittensor, the name. We're really trying to increase the participation of retail or institutional capital to flow in and fund these companies, these low cap, startup level companies that are truly and like gonna make a difference in the world. And there's, I think there's plenty of subnets here, like that are real companies that are actually building real products. As we see, companies. If you look at Celium, they are making more revenue than their emissions, and that just is a testament to these companies are really building real products. And Shoots, for example, number one token provider on Open Router, Targon. These are real serious companies, and yeah, we want to kind of be that gateway and that forward-facing, or the showcase for these companies to allow capital to flow in and fund them and participate in them, because Bittensor is an open market, is a digital commodities marketplace and an orchestration layer, a workforce accelerator. Like, this is one of the only places where you can come in a permissionless manner.
And that leads me actually into the next question I have for you guys perfectly. If you're delegating to other validators, how are you guys making money by running TrustedStake?
Yeah, so Douglas and I run a child hotkey validator in Bittensor, and the way that works is we child hotkey to the validators within each subnet that are within the indexes that we currently offer. And by running a validator, we're able to have a take rate. So the take rate that we have basically operates as a management fee for the services that the indexes provide. And we, to be honest, think that the management fee is definitely offset by the rebalancer and the way that it optimizes across non-weight copying validators, like Douglas explained. So yeah, the revenue accrues to our child hotkey validator. Hey guys, so at around this point of the interview, we lost Douglas, and we thought it would be important to prevent any kind of confusion for listeners or anybody in the community to provide a little bit more context on take rates in Bittensor and how these apply to TrustedStake specifically. So first off, as many people listening already know, take rates do not apply to your principal. In Bittensor, they only apply to the root or alpha yield that you are generating from staking. And then second, when someone is viewing the TrustedStake platform, the yield that they are seeing for the strategies that we provide is already net of the take rate that we have. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
I'll ask you guys one last question here, and then this will be a podcast, and that is, what advice, since you guys are both young guys and have plentiful experience in the blockchain world, what advice would you have for people when they're first approaching blockchain in general and Bittensor as investors or want to get involved in ecosystems? What advice would you have for those people?
I would say be curious and be willing to read and do research. And the easiest way I feel like to be successful in anything is you have to enjoy it. You have to enjoy what you're doing. And if you want to get into Bittensor, for example, you should be genuinely interested in the way that the network is structured and how that the economics work, and want to learn about the business models that are within each of these subnets. Because I'm going to be totally honest, I've learned more just being in and around Bittensor the past few years than I learned in my entire college career, because you get so much exposure in this space by just being curious and interested. So that would be my answer. Just be willing to forego a paycheck immediately, and eventually you'll figure out how to start making money in whatever niche that you fall into within this space.
Well, Doug, Alex, it's been a pleasure having you guys on today. Thank you.
Thank you, Grant.